is AI coming for your jobs? I know it's a controversial opinion, but it sounds like we're both of the opinion that yes, it is.
Yes, I mean, it's good. It's slow. So I was reading a report by recently. I didn't say that. A CPO report, and it was something like 18% of procurement teams globally feel that they are digitally advanced. 18%. And that's probably, if you base around Deloitte's clients, it's just going to be very large businesses out there. So I think there's still a long way to go for smaller businesses, medium enterprises, just everyone else. So you will eventually get there. I sometimes say ChatGPT is the Google of this generation. It took this long to get Google adoption everywhere. So I think it's going to take just as long, but it will happen. Yeah, I'm certain.
Thank you so much for joining another edition of the Never-Ending Climb for a Stronger Supply Chain and Procurement for Companies Running SAP. Today, I have the pleasure of being joined by Tanya Wade. Tanya is passionate about transformations with ProcureTech. You might know somebody else that's passionate about that kind of thing. So, Tanya, thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm so happy to be here. So thanks so much. It's going to be very fun for the next few minutes.
Absolutely. And I know AI and procurement, very much a hot topic, and there's lots of discussion, there's lots of talk about it, there's lots of, hey, we can do it, but, like a few of those other topics that we don't, maybe they're NSFW, but they, sometimes people are talking about it, but not doing it. And I think this concept is super important because this means that it's very difficult for people to understand and imagine what it means and where it's going and what it's going to be like if they're not doing it already. It's difficult to empathize with something that is not yet viscerally real. And this future of AI and procurement can feel exciting and scary all at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a big part of changing the conversation is people are scared that AI is going to take their jobs or, can you trust AI? So yeah, there's a lot of fear out there.
Oh yeah. I mean, movies like Terminator helped. And
I've actually seen that a lot, people say, I know what happened in Terminator, and they mean it. It's like, this is not going to happen, honestly.
Yeah, The Matrix too. I mean, all of these, happy, uplifting, inspiring ideas of what a dystopian future could look like. If we think about, is AI coming for your jobs? I know it's a controversial opinion, but it sounds like we're both of the opinion that yes, it is.
Yes, I mean, it's slow. So I was reading a report by recently. I didn't say that. A CPO report, and it was something like 18% of procurement teams globally feel that they are digitally advanced. 18%. And that's probably, if you base around Deloitte's clients, it's just going to be very large businesses out there. So I think there's still a long way to go for smaller businesses, medium enterprises, just everyone else. So you will eventually get there. I sometimes say ChatGPT is the Google of this generation. It took this long to get Google adoption everywhere. So I think it's going to take just as long, but it will happen. Yeah, I'm certain.
I mean, if we rewind to the rise of computers are going to take our jobs, and we look back at, accounting and invoicing departments that used to employ hundreds of people that now employ dozens. In effect, we've got the proof point that that's where it's going, but it's not a snap of the fingers. It's a gradual movement over time. So it's not a tomorrow thing. It's not like something's knocking at your door with a big metal skeleton. It's approaching slowly over time, and we have got an opportunity to adapt.
Yeah, exactly. And there are loads of barriers to entry. So AI specifically needs loads of clean data. I know everyone has clean data. It needs data that is not in silos, so it is fully integrated. Again, doesn't happen. There's a cost to AI. There's a lot of change management that has to happen. And people think you put the AI in and that's it, hands up. But really, you need to oversee what is, you need someone strategic to actually manage and train all the automation that you have there. So it's not
I
easy.
call it an intern, right? It's in many cases when it first starts, it's like the very, first day of an intern, and you're finding yourself explaining things to the intern that you had never conceived that you would even need to explain to somebody.
Great analogy.
And yet you're saying, well, this is how it works, right? It's more than just like, where's the bathroom? So It's the equivalent of, no, if you want to come into the building, you see this little chip thing, you wave that in front of this reader, and then the door unlocks.
Yeah.
Or you watch the person come in, but the AI is like it's brand new, and it doesn't know that you have to press the exit button to unlock the door.
Yeah, people don't really understand that. I think there's a lot of lack of maybe training or awareness in procurement in general, that you don't just put it in and then it does whatever you want. You have to actually work on it. And the more data and the more information you feed it, the better it becomes. But, that is, I guess, part of the illusion as well. The change management piece, I think, is really important in general to bring people on that journey of what it can do for them, rather than, it's going to take my job. So.
Yeah. And I think the same has been true through almost every one of these evolutions and iterations. There are those that get left behind, but then there are those that really succeed and roll with the change, right? It's like a friend of mine once told me, and it's a bit of old wisdom too, know when to be the rock and know when to be the river flowing and the water flowing around the rock, right? This feels like a time to go with the flow because we know where it's going. And if you try to be the rock, you're just going to get worn down and tumbled away. So this idea of how do we go with the flow of the future of AI? And there's this question of these job postings, for instance, accounts payable clerks or analysts to go and just process purchase orders or process purchase order acknowledgements. And these are two beautiful examples of it's already there. Why would somebody today hire a human being to go do something that can be done automatically with something that never sleeps and has an attention to detail and a focus that is unrivaled?
It might shock you, but people still do it because of money. It's cheaper to pay sometimes. It's cheaper to pay someone than...
Sometimes.
Obviously,
right?
when you have scale, it actually makes total sense to implement. But these projects are very expensive, as you know, firsthand to do.
Can be.
Yeah. So, I mean, from a financial perspective, if you're a very large enterprise, it's a no-brainer. It's an easy business case to put through, right? The ROI is black and white. When you're a smaller business, the barriers to entry are much bigger than when you're a much larger organization. So that's why those roles are probably still there and they might be there for a few years.
Yeah. The way I see that is those larger organizations that have that absolute no-brainer business case, they are still feeling a little bit of skepticism, and they will, in many cases, the majority of those organizations want to see somebody else that's gone there and done it already. And so they're looking for those, well, who's already done it? Who have you done it for? Before they'll entertain the idea. And there's a handful of them that are out there, those early adopters that are like, hey, I know this can work. I have the budget and it's worth it to us and we're going to go make it happen. And those are some brave leaders that are out there making things happen.
For me, there's two ways that you can implement AI in your business, right? You have your off-the-shelf solutions that already have AI. So SAP has AI into the solutions in Concur and Ariba and everywhere else. And you have got a million different procure tech solutions out there that have AI in them. So you don't actually see or feel it. And all of those companies that are selling to enterprise customers are very well established with loads of case studies. So very easy to do that, right? Other thing you can do is have something custom built to solve particular business problems that you have. So make sure that you have a good partner to help you resolve those issues. And it might be a problem that no one else has and you don't have any case studies or examples of that use case. That's fine.
You might become the case study.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there is probably that fear. What I see happening that I'm a little bit skeptic about is companies saying, someone from the top, whether it's a CIO or a CEO, CTO, you're saying, let's go and implement AI across a business. And then getting stakeholders together and say, I've actually seen this happen. So getting stakeholders together and say, right, what problems do you have that we can put AI into? It's like, wait. This is like upside down. Right? No, start, what problems do you have? Then do you need AI to solve those problems? Or do you, or is it a simple automation? Or is it something else? Or get your processes right? Because, I'm trying not to swear.
Don't automate something that's a terrible process.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. It might be simple that you actually need processes in place. So, or maybe you have really dirty data, you have loads of really bad data. So it's like absolutely pointless to put an AI in there.
There's a few examples, and I like the idea of clean data as an anchor point. I also would invite anybody watching to consider that there are points in the business where you are capturing data.
Mhm.
And that is a beautiful opportunity to do it earlier and right away, because those points where you're capturing the data, you can use some of this to go and help make sure that you're getting cleaner data in. That's something that's going to pay significant compound dividends over time.
Yeah, I'm going to think again to my SAP, like MDG, right? But capturing clean data, any tool, doesn't have to be an SAP product, right? Any tool that captures data at the source in a standard way that forces the entry point to be in a certain format and certain fields, that's going to do, wonders for any AI potential implementation you may have think about. I agree.
Absolutely. So from there, people that are in these roles right now, what can we suggest for them to go with the flow, to be able to adapt to the changes that are coming with AI? What sort of digital fluency or sort of base level of understanding of people now generally understand how to Google something, and in many cases it's a habit. How can we help encourage people to start to think about a GPT and how that can become a habit, and how to learn more about those skills and how to think about this change? What would we offer them?
So, I mean, for me, I'm a techie, right? So for me, the business case is very clear. We're saying that the jobs aren't going to disappear tomorrow, but probably very soon, and they become less and less valuable and more and few between. The entry point to ChatGPT is like next to nothing, right? But if you go back to what I know, take Joule, which is being introduced like in all the different SAP products. And it's not just SAP, it's like you take Oracle and all the other big players, right? They're all putting GPTs into chatbots into their products, right? But it helps us so much more. When I first started in procurement, right, you have to create an RFP from scratch, contracts from scratch with legal take weeks and weeks and months sometimes. You can do those in seconds now. You can create even a simple email to supplier in a few seconds. That means that you can focus on relationships, which is what really matters, on creating actual value, on selling yourself to the C-suite and actually gaining that seat at the table that we always talk about in procurement. So it's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer.
I love that you went to the relationship part, because as much as right now there is significant intellectual processing capability in those GPT, large language models and so on, the emotional intelligence is surface, right? It's not genuinely there. It's kind of suggested or implied in some of the responses that are probabilistic in the way that they're generated. So this ability to build that relationship skill building, to build that emotional intelligence, I would agree, is one of the most important investments that those folks can make right now. And storytelling, communication are things that become so critical. And I know James Marlin is brilliant, and we interviewed him earlier around storytelling, how critical that is. When we think about the future operating model of companies in that procurement or procure to pay flow or intake to pay flow, where do you see the future operating model evolving to in the next few years? And what would you suggest is good look like as we start to get there?
It's going to hopefully going to look completely different, right? As long as there's adoption behind it. I see it as a central function that is much more strategic, that focuses on relationships, that still is very technology savvy. I think that's important, that digital skills are gaining more and more momentum and becoming more and more important. So everyone that doesn't catch up is going to be left behind. And the role of your CPO or your head of procurement is going to change completely. So becoming more and more grey shades with what, some of the technology counterparts do as well. So yeah, loads of changes ahead.
I would add one thing there, and that is, as we evolve to consider the concept of delegation when we're hiring a team member, and we fast forward to this world where we each have multiple digital team members supporting us, then as team members, as the humans in the loop, our role would evolve even further into helping design the systems and influence the evolution and reinforcing solid systems, solid processes. So those business analysis and process iteration and business improvement kind of skills, I would add as really foundational, important components to continue to iterate, because it means that each one of us becomes a manager, a digital manager of the systems and the tools that are working for us to help us accelerate. And I love that idea of that it's not just the strategic level, but it's that continuous evolution and iteration to tell the stories, to run things better, run smoother, and create better outcomes for the companies that we work in.
That's a great idea. And I think actually that's also what has gone wrong in the past with some Gen AI tools in the past, of how they've been trained in a very samey kind of way and without a lot of intelligence. So bad AI is usually bad people training, badly. So that's what it comes down to. So the human touch can't be forgotten in all this element. It's not you implement something and wash your hands clean and then never, touch it again. You have to be very hands-on and strategic about it. I agree.
Yeah, just like the intern that we're hiring into our teams today, if we treat them badly, hopefully they leave. Go work somewhere else where they're treated well. The AI might not have that option. So I think we all need to be really thoughtful about how we treat those automated digital tools in terms of, I would even go so far as I actually say please to ChatGPT when I'm asking it something, because I think it sounds silly. It is one extra word. Yes, I'm Canadian. I know we're polite, but it feels like one of those little things that how you do anything is how you do everything. And I want to make sure that we hold on to that, because that will cascade into how they are trained and how they treat others and how they respond.
I do the same thing. It's very sad that I'm not Canadian. I don't say thank you as much because I'm Spanish, not English. But I fully agree in that I feel that whatever you feed it into it, it's going to absorb it. Yeah. And I've had a couple of GPTs that I've trained to my own way of writing, of saying things. I always make sure to say, thank you, please. What do you think? And treat it like a person, which doesn't really exist. But just going back a little bit on that topic around how much hands-on you have to be. I did the project a long time ago, previous to this career. And when I was in procurement, we were implementing a chatbot. This is probably a good 10 years ago. And we didn't realize, we had the IT partner basically explain to us the amount of data we're going to have to feed it. And so you're just having enough data to actually have it make an impact. It was like, we have to do all this work, but I thought we just put it in, plug it in, done. No.
Yeah.
A lot of procurement teams don't really realize the amount of work you have to make this happen. Yeah.
It's amazing. Tanya, I am so grateful for your time today, and I'm grateful for the way that you show up to go and help inspire others to create a stronger supply chain and procurement. Tanya, thank you again. And thanks everyone for watching another edition.
Yeah,
we'll see you all next week.
Pleasure. Thanks. Bye-bye.